This is good. A good story for everybody.
This is a good day for America.
On KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
And good morning, Las Vegas. What's going on? Welcome. It's another edition of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Also streaming on the Odyssey app. If you don't have that app, AUDACY, and you will find a cornucopia of shows from our station and many around the world. So make sure you check that out. Download that app right now. And of course, we're also streaming YouTube, Facebook, X. So if you want to check it out, at the Mark Hoke Show on Facebook and YouTube, and at Mark Hoke Show on X, you can give us follows, subscribes, all that fun stuff, and get involved. Hop in and type some comments in the chat box on everything we're going to be talking about today. Got to get to this man real quick because we have a couple of very interesting things for the lineup for you today. First, it's time for the president of wrestling. He is one of the absolute experts on indie wrestling on the planet, to be honest with you. And, of course, from the Wrestling Revolver. Let's welcome in, at Trust and Phil Stamper, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you. How are you doing, sir?
I didn't sleep well last night.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to tell the story of why towards the end of the show, because it's Eric Bischoff's fault.
Interesting. I'm intrigued.
There's a tease there, but I will tell you why Eric Bischoff ruined my sleep last night.
I like that lead, though. I like that lead.
Crazy. But Phil, thanks for being with us. And we're going to be hearing very shortly here from one of the legendary personalities in pro wrestling. Of course, he was the ring announcer for WCW and also TNA. As we welcome in David Penzer to the show, he decided to hide his face on the interview, but that's okay. But some interesting topics. I think, Phil, you're going to be intrigued by some of this. And of course, he has the second volume of his book out that is sitting ringside. He has volume 1, volume 2. Those are available at davidpenzerbook.com and also at guyevansbooks.com. So you can pick that up also on Amazon. And it's $10 and some amazing stuff in that book. So we're going to hear from David Penzer here, in fact, in just a minute. So, Phil, are you ready to hear from Dave Penzer?
I'm ready.
I am ready too. So let's get that rolling. We're going to hear from legendary ring announcer David Penzer. And we are on the Mark Hoke Show and very excited to welcome back to our amazing pro wrestling program here our good friend and, of course, former WCW TNA ring announcer and now real estate mogul extraordinaire, and, of course, the author of Sitting Ringside Volume 1 and now Volume 2. It's out, everybody, and make sure you want to check that out at Amazon and davidpenzerbook.com. And we welcome him in. David Penzer, how are you, sir?
Thank you, man. I'm doing good. I'm certainly no mogul.
Well, you know what? Just take it, Dave. Come on, man. I'm selling you.
I know, but it's a tough market. So I don't want. If you're moving to Florida, look me up. Tampa, Lakeland, St. Pete, Sarasota, Clearwater, anywhere in between.
Sounds like a plan. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be moving to Florida as everything keeps getting crazier out there. So, yeah, look him up. Get on with David Penzer. And, well, Dave, I want to start off talking about the book before we get into some other things. So last time you were on the show, we had the first volume out, and now the second volume is here. What can everybody expect in this one? What's a little different from the last one?
Well, very, very heavy on the XWF, what I like to call the lost promotion. I was a part of pretty much everything from the time that I got there till the company went out of business. So we have the original XWF business plan in the book. In the bonus section, we have the formats for all the TV shows that we taped. If you look back then, WCW had just been sold to the competition. There was no competitor. So we gave it a try first, and then TNA came on the scene. They couldn't get on TV either, so they went to pay-per-view. And I don't know how, but I'm very, very happy that they're still in business, just signed a huge deal. So I'm sure that they're thrilled, and I'm really happy for them. But we also we go into, a lot of different, it's not as, it's I don't want to jump in all over the place because it's telling the story in chronological order, but there's a lot of things I forgot I did. So, I was Roddy Piper's tour manager for his book tour, 45 days crisscrossing the country on Billy Ray Cyrus' bus. So we go into depth on that, go into depth on TNA and what I did with them, and then later Impact, and, some other stuff that I've done. And unfortunately, we have to go into depth on the Chris Benoit situation, since I was much closer to it than many, due to, being him and Nancy being part of our Peachtree City wrestling gang and seeing things that a lot of other people never saw. And it's interesting. It's like, the WCW thing was like, okay, he made this hurdle. Now he's here. What does he think about that? What does he think about that? The company goes out of business. That's a brief overview. But this one's about, how does somebody who lost, but they tried so hard against all odds to keep it, when the company is gone and there's only one wrestling company in the business? How do you stay afloat and try to, and knock on wood, I did quite well, just finished up a year and a month ago at Impact. And, so that's more than 30 years. So, and WCW is just the first 10. So somehow I lasted 20 years in this crazy business. And I'm pretty sure this is it for me. I got some fan fest coming up and stuff, but I don't expect anybody to be calling me and asking me to, be their ring announcer for their television show. It's a young person's business. It's a lot of ways a women's business, and that's fine. I think some of the women do better than the guys. But that's a rough overview of the book. The stuff in the bonus section is just unbelievable. TNA formats never seen. Jimmy Hart did a pay-per-view called 605. The Reunion, which was a nod to WCW Saturday Night. That format's in there. Ric Flair's last match, the entire format for that pay-per-view is in there for that show. And there's just a lot of extras and stuff. And then, I tell some stories just like the last book. And some people that, people who have read it so far have really been excited about it. So I am too.
Well, Guy sent me the chapter about Chris Benoit, and it's such a taboo subject, it seems, to even talk about Chris because of what happened. But, that was what you wrote in there. Wow. It was a story, starting out with, how Chris and Nancy got together all the way up through it and the follow-up. Is it still difficult to talk about Chris for you?
Well, it's difficult to talk about Nancy and Daniel. Chris is a piece of crap who should burn in hell. So that part's not hard. The part of going back there, reliving it, being so close to the situation, people will be like, people who are listening to this interview might be like, I never knew that Penzer and Benoit were that close friends. And like we weren't close friends like him and Eddie or him and Jericho or him and Dean. But what you understand is we all lived in this little town in South Atlanta called Peachtree City. It was the Regals. It was Johnny Grunge and his wife. It was Fit Finley and his wife. And Chris and Nancy were part of that group. And when we would have weekends off, we'd have a few drinks and karaoke. I talk about it in the book. And, I would, for some reason, he was a little bit more open with, and I describe it in depth in the book, about how he behaved than he was than he was, so to speak, around people in the business. So I saw him on a social level with interacting with Nancy that nobody had ever seen. Now, did I ever think what was going to happen? No. What happened after that was they pulled away from that scene because I think he realized that we saw some things that he didn't want anybody to see. But what he didn't know is, God bless him, Johnny Grunge. I call him a lovable screw up, the nicest guy in the world. But he certainly, had his issues, and so they both felt comfortable going to him when they would have a big fight or a big blow up. And what they didn't know is Grunge would tell me everything. Now I never told anybody that because that's not my story to tell. That's not my place to stooge, someone I cared about off, even if I was kind of concerned about where the relationship. But when Johnny died, I don't think they had an outlet anymore. And he was their lovable screw up that they could confide in. And I have no doubt in my mind if Johnny Grunge were still alive, I'll be alive as well. But that's not what happened. And as I talk about in the book, and it was really hard to decide whether I should even give it credence. But I think I felt like, I never told my story on that as, I had Dateline NBCs and all these people calling me. And I was like, I don't want to, it's not my place. But I think after all this time, I think I could at least tell my end. And, I will say this is in the book when I was woken, I was taking a nap and my son woke me up and said, Chris and Nancy and Daniel are all dead. Never in my mind one time did I think it was anything, but it didn't, whatever happened in us happened in that house. There was nobody coming in from outside. It just finally happened. And, and then, it's still one of the saddest things that, that you talk about, but, so for this one time, I'm going to give my perspective. And again, it's just my perspective. I've had people tell me you're wrong. Look, I saw what I saw. I heard what I heard. So, that's my perspective. I'm not saying it's 100% right. But I will tell you, it's not embellished. If anything, it's what's the opposite embellished. So if anything, I try to be kind. So that's what it is. It's interesting.
Yeah, it was a captivating read, and the rest of the book's going to be like that. I can't wait to pick that up. And talking about a bad story, let's balance it out a little bit. What is your probably the happiest chapter in the book?
I would say the happiest, other than shooting on one person in TNA who I think is a piece of crap. If you notice in the first book, I really didn't, I made it clear I wasn't a fan of Vince Russo's writing, but it never got personal. But there's, I guess that's because after 25 years, you remember the good things and not the bad things. But this was 2 years ago. So it's a little closer to the heart. So guy was shocked. He's like, "You're going to bury someone?" I'm like, "They deserve it, and I'm going to do it." And so we'll see what people think. But I will tell you though, the way I went out in this business, Scott Demore, you could say anything you want about him, but he did something wonderful for me, which was to book me at that last pay-per-view show before I finished off, even though I had never done those one-off pay-per-views, and surprised me by, bringing the talent out and coming out and talking about how we met and our relationship, and gave me this beautiful plaque that sits here in my office. And, my peers and the fans are chanting, "Thank you, David," or "Thank you, Penzer." There's nothing better than that. Most people in this business, unless you're going to a Hall of Fame or something, or unless you're like a Edge who gives, he's since come back, but he got a chance to retire on national TV. But most people don't get a chance to experience that. So that warms my heart every time I think about it. And it's just like I said, if I never do anything again, which I don't think I will do much, it was the perfect send off. I thank Scott and Impact Wrestling and TNA, and one guy who is a jerk, but that's life.
All right, there you go. And we've got more Phil with David Penzer. I can't wait to hear the story you were telling me about the chat box when we finish this up. But what an incredible career for David Penzer, of course, former WCW announcer, and got that brand new book out, Sitting Ringside Volume 2. So make sure you check that out. Get on Amazon and davidpenzerbook.com. All right, we need to get a break so we can get through all this. So stick around, everybody. More with David Penzer and, of course, Phil Stamper when we come back on the Mark Hoke Show, best in pro wrestling news and entertainment here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. More with David Penzer when we return.
Looking for high-quality custom screen printing in Las Vegas? Look no further than Off-Grid Creations. Need a few custom t-shirts for a local event, band merchandise, or family reunion? We've got you covered. Large order of uniforms for your staff, sports team, or club? We can handle that too. Our experienced team will work closely with you throughout the entire process from design consultation to final product. Call us at 661-300-1115. That's 661-300-1115, or visit our website at off-gridcreations.com. Get a free consultation today.
Dear Winter, the mighty Toyota Tundra will conquer your toughest elements. With exceptional power and available 4x4, Tundra's got an iron grip on almost anything you've got. Snow? Sleet? Chill. Tundra's top flight technology is in command and ready to kick tough trails in the tail. Find your Tundra at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Visit your Southern Nevada Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places.
The county just requested more electric charging stations.
Orders have really amped up at Able Electric.
We need 3 more at First in Maine, and we just got another hotel chain.
It's no shock. Able Electric needs able electricians.
Grocery store wants charging stations too.
And fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
This new year, get started on your next success with University of Maryland Global Campus. Apply by February 12th and get your application fee waived. An accredited state university, UMGC offers online and hybrid classes, along with more than 135 degrees and certificates in in-demand fields like business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. Gain the skills and credentials you need to achieve your career goals. Get your application fee waived through February 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at tryethos.com. That's tryethos.com.
101.5 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, everybody. We are back on the Mark Hoke Show, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. Myself, along with Phil Stamper. By the way, Phil, how's the weather?
So I'm going to luck out. I'm going to be on like the bottom edge of some of the snow that's coming. So I'm supposed to get less than an inch. So I'm excited because a week ago I got, 8 inches? So
wow. There's so many jokes there. We'll just
the second as I was saying it, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. All right, let's hear more from our good friend WCW and TNA ring announcer David Penzer We're on the Mark Hoke Show here with David Penzer, of course, the author of Sitting Ringside, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 2 is now out, so you can go pick that up right now, davidpenzerbook.com and Amazon, and give it a read. Just unbelievable stories. And I think one thing that's really neat about these books, David, is that you kind of don't think about the ring announcer being the watcher. It's fascinating to me that you get to see all this stuff, but people I don't think really think about, I want to hear the story that that Hulk Hogan told or Ric Flair told, but you kind of got to see over all this stuff. And I mean it had to be such a unique perspective for you, especially the way you came up through the business.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it until a guy convinced me to write this book. But I saw a lot and I experienced a lot, and a lot of it was the people I was traveling with: Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Jericho, and then sometimes I travel with Arn Flair, Randy Anderson. Pee Wee Anderson was a referee who showed me, basically the rules of the road in professional wrestling, and through that whole group of people, I got to experience a lot of things that maybe other wrestlers didn't experience. I was in the passenger seat many nights, listening to the speech that Arn was planning to give when Flair came back to the Four Horsemen, and he would ask me for crits and stuff. So, I was going to say not everybody could say that. Not anybody else could say that. It was just me and him on that loop. But, and to be so, it's funny. I just saw, I guess it's on this date in whatever year, 2000, I guess it was the whole deal that went down where Chris Benoit won the world title and then they all walked out the next day. Well, since I was so close to them, and since I was also close to Kevin, who was the reason they were walking out, I got stuck in the middle of it as I go in detail in the first volume. I begged those guys not to leave, and then I'd go to Kevin and Kevin, did she talk? And until they walked out, I'll never forget until they walked out that door. And I'll never forget them walking out the door, what the door looked like. It was red. And there was a bunch of doors at the back of the arena. And then that was that. But I was still trying to make peace, and it happened. But it's funny, looking back, that on my Twitter timeline, a lot of that footage has popped up today, and I think about how, there's a whole chapter on that in my book. Go get it.
Yeah, it's I just get so blown away just seeing how much you got to observe over the years. One thing I was curious about, because we hear a lot of talk about booking, and I know that you got involved a little bit in that. Tell everybody a little bit about what it was like to book shows, especially during the WCW days. I couldn't imagine how crazy that room got.
Oh, and WCW was pretty crazy. What wasn't crazy, what was really cool was, and I'm talking about it in Volume 1 also, was when Jimmy Hart took over Saturday night. And he brought along Arn and Tony Schiavone and me. And we were the booking committee for WCW Saturday night. The guys in charge didn't want to – they had 5 hours of Thunder and Nitro to deal with egos. They didn't want to deal with egos. So Jimmy just said, hey, we'll use the guys who want to be here. We're not going to make a Kevin Nash or a Sting come to Saturday night. They don't want to be here. We'll use Chris Jericho, and we'll use Eddie Guerrero, and we'll use some of these younger cruiserweight guys. And we'll tell very simple stories that basically kind of Memphis type booking, where very simple stories to get you to come back the next week. And that was a blast. I mean, there was no politics in that. It was me, Arn, Tony, and Jimmy Hart. And that was fun. The XWF, that was great. That was fun. Some of these other pay-per-views and fish shows I'd book with Jimmy and Lawler and those guys that have formats in the back. That was awesome. But WCW is pretty crazy back then. Everybody could tell, when I was in the main booking committee, a junior member, everybody could tell it was going nowhere fast. And we were everybody's trying to save it. And, looking back, maybe sometimes you try too hard. I don't know. Now that I know what I know now, I don't know that would have changed anything, quite frankly. I don't think anything would have changed the ultimate outcome. That was decided before, but we just didn't know it at the time.
Did you ever get in the spot where a couple of guys are arguing in that room and they looked at you and said, Dave, what do you think? Settle this.
Not in that room. I just sat there and kept my mouth shut in that room. You got Disco Inferno booking the Invisible Man and Terry Taylor pitching Bill Ding, which finally lived as a character in the I forget the name of the promotion that Scott did the throwback shows with. IW, I forget what it is. If you remember those TNA throwback shows, Bill Ding finally came to life. Trey Miguel played him. But yeah, no, I kept my mouth shut. I kept my head down, and I would only speak when I thought I had a really good idea. Usually they liked my idea, and if they didn't like it, I went back to being quiet.
Maybe not a bad decision there. And now the way things are going in professional wrestling, we've got WWE on Netflix and we've got AEW on Max, and things have changed so much. Does it kind of blow you away when you see what has happened now, and how optimistic are you for the future of professional wrestling at this point?
Oh, totally optimistic. There's a lot of great stuff going on. As we said, TNA and NXT just signed a long-term deal that can be that I think will be great for NXT, and also for NXT. It gives a lot of, there's a lot of players in those two locker rooms, and sometimes on 4 hours of television, which is really about, with commercial breaks, really about 3 hours of television, probably less combined. It's hard to get all that talent involved. So the fact that they could send that NXT could send a talent or three to TNA, and TNA could send a talent or two to NXT, and I think that's fantastic. I think WWE done an amazing job of I'm a huge fan of the Bloodline. Have been for years. So they've been a great job of telling stories. AEW's business plan is a little bit different, as they're mostly about dream matches and high spots, and that's great. There's a huge audience for that. My youngest son is one of them. My youngest son doesn't care about storylines. He wants to see the Claudio wrestle what's his name? Pick a name. I mean, there's so much there, but. What I was thinking of was the guy that came from WWE that got to keep his name.
Oh, boy, that's a few.
They throw toilet paper at him now.
Oh, Ricochet. So I'm just picking two guys out of the blue, but so there's a market for that, and they're getting paid a lot of money from a major cable company to produce that. So I know people like to argue on the internet, and look, at the end of the day, there's two different styles between those two companies, and nobody should hope that one is that neither are successful, or that one is successful and one isn't. They could both be alive, and without there's plenty of money and plenty of opportunities to go around, and so I think sometimes that kind of craziness is overblown. Watch what you like. Don't watch what you don't like, but don't bury the other company. So I feel pretty strongly about that. But when you talk about how far it's come in, remember I started watching in 1977 Championship Wrestling from Florida. It was in a little studio with 50 wrestling fans. And so, yeah, I mean, the Netflix thing and all that, it's incredible to watch. And I'm in awe of how they do it. I know how hard it is to do, it was to do Nitro every Monday night, every week. But what they're doing now, these huge stadiums and like these, I know on Netflix, they have now these drones that get amazing shots. And, to see a guy like Jey Uso come out, and the whole crowd is going crazy for him. Man, there's something going on that I'm not 100% sure what it is, but there's just people are connecting with I think fans enjoy being a part of the show more than maybe they would admit maybe 5-10 years ago.
So, but that's great. To me, that's exciting. When I see everybody doing the Uso Yeet thing, man, I get goosebumps every freaking time.
You know, I've been a wrestling fan since about like 82, 83. And looking back and seeing, you know, you had the Sportatorium and what was going on in Florida and Vince doing the shows in Hamburg and Allentown to this, it just amazes me. And it would have been so much fun to see, you know, some of the past superstars to get a shot at being in this era. I mean, could you imagine, you know, if somebody like Harley Race or something like that would have been around for this? I mean, wow.
As much as I respect and think the world of Harley Race in his career, I don't know that he would have had this opportunity. He's not what he was. What was needed in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s to be one of the best wrestlers and one of the best draws in the world. But I don't know that would have translated to, you know, Netflix and drones and, you know, I don't know. Some things I think are better left in the eras that they were, but I understand your point. But Harley Race, I think that if he was able to call down and settle the score, I think he'd say, you know what, I'm all right doing my my stuff in the 70s and 80s.
He probably got a point there. He's, you know, a little gruff. He probably wouldn't have liked a lot of the glamour and craziness. I mean, he did see some of it in, you know, in WCW, but
you mentioned Harley Race, man. I talk about this in Volume 1. And look, if you don't have Volume 1, start with Volume 1, man. If you're a WCW fan, we go through the whole entire ups and downs, starting with the Monday Night Wars at the Mall of America. But the thing about Harley, it was like when my dad would take me to wrestling in the 70s and early 80s, you know, Harley Race was pretty much always the touring world champion. And so when I got involved in the business, I would, you know, tell my dad, hey, you know, how'd it go? You know, oh, I got to see this guy, And, oh, that's cool. I'm glad you know, keep working hard. But he really popped for the first time when he found out I got invited to a barbecue at Harley Race's house when we were in Kansas City. He was like, you got invited to a barbecue at Harley Race's house? That's incredible. And, you know, because, you know, in his mind, you know, Hulk Hogan beware, you know, Harley Race was the guy back then. And, you know, he would sit in the second row reading his Time magazine. But when he would look up and see the world champion with this big gold plate belt, you know, that's who, you know, for someone who's only partially paying attention, that's who he thought was the star. And he was.
That is a cool story. And these books have so many cool stories in them, and you got to get them. Of course, Sitting Ringside, Volume 1, Volume 2. Volume 2 has been released from David Penzer. David, once again, just tell everybody real quick before I let you go, you know, about a little bit more about the books if you want to throw it out there and where the people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, you could go to David Penzer Book, all one word.com. You could go to Guy Evans Books with an S.com. It all leads you to the same place. You can go to Amazon.com and follow me on Twitter at David Penzer, all one word. And I just appreciate the great feedback that I've gotten. I went back and looked, and neither of these books have gotten less than a 5-star review. Amazon. So to me, you know, I put much of that onto Guy Evans, who's amazing at what he does. But you know what? Guy was writing my story, so I got to give a little bit of credit to myself. And I'm very proud. You know, you never perfect in anything, and so far, knock on wood, all the reviews have been perfect. So you know, hey, that's incredible, and you know, great bonus material in both of the books. And so go to davidpenzerbook.com, and it tells you an in-depth review of everything in both books. But a lot of inside baseball. If you like inside baseball and formats, and you know, you like to hear who was the agent for the matches on Monday Night Raw, you know, that's like God's play compared to the in-depth stuff that we got in these books. So if that's your deal, man, go check it out. I promise you. My story is just gravy. If that's what you're into, then that you're just going to love these books.
Well, and everybody loves you, David. There's no question about it. Well, probably just about everybody. Everybody's got an enemy out there, but I doubt it with you. You're the man, David. Everybody knows this.
Well, Tell my wife that.
He brings up his wife. I love it. David Penzer, hey, I want to thank you for coming on the Mark Hoke Show again. It is always an honor to get to talk to you. One of the great personalities in professional wrestling.
Sure.
And look forward to seeing you down the road. By the way, you coming to town for WrestleMania?
I don't know yet. I love Las Vegas, don't get me wrong, but the travel from the East Coast is just brutal. And then it's worse coming back. You leave at 8:00 in the morning and you're not back till 5:00 at night. You basically waste a whole day. I can't do red eyes anymore. I could hardly do them. I was 26. So it would take me days to recover. So, I mean, if somebody offers me, an opportunity to come down there, I'd probably seriously consider it. But to me, it's the West Coast is just horrible travel. And one thing that I'm kind of over in all this is the travel. Still love the business, still love the guys, still love the camaraderie. Travel, I'm kind of over.
Well, I'll check around so we can get somebody to hook.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but
well, we'd love to see you out here. So think about it. All right.
All right, man. I'll buy you a drink.
Fair enough. All right, David. Thanks for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Keep in touch.
All right, and there you go, everybody. David Penzer. Boy, what an amazing guy. And Phil, when you think about what he got to see, and he wasn't training or being a wrestler or worrying about a lot of the stuff that the guys had to worry about, but he just kind of got to be the overseer of all this from the sidelines, and obviously he was heavily involved, but that perspective is so unique. And to hear all these stories, I mean, we could have talked for hours if we wanted to.
And currently selling a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house in Orlando, Florida for $489,000.
Oh, there you go. But it is fascinating. And like I said, those books are available. You can go on Amazon, David Penzer book or GuyEvansBooks.com and pick those up. It's 2 volumes and he's got all these format sheets and everything and just some really neat stuff in there. So I would encourage everybody. And I think they're $9.95 each.
$9.99 for Kindle is what I saw.
Yeah. So nothing.
Yeah.
For all this amazing wrestling knowledge from a great guy. And, we'll get a little more reaction to that. And I think Phil's got a fun story to tell when we come back. So stick around, everybody. A whole lot more on the Mark Hoke Show. And, of course, it's a big day in wrestling, too. We've got 2 huge events coming up today with TNA Genesis. And, of course, GCW's got their GCW versus the People card up in the Hammerstein Ballroom tonight, too. What a great day it's going to be. We're going to talk about all that and more. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Selling your home doesn't have to be filled with drama or having to pay hidden fees. Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here to tell you, as an active investor, I firmly believe in working with the smartest local agents who sell homes in high volume. Prepare your home to create the most demand when it does go on the market to sell for the highest price. And don't fill your life with drama while you wait for your home to sell. I'm talking about the Brenkus team of Keller Williams Realty, the marketplace. The Brenkus team serves the entire Las Vegas area. Real estate mogul and Shark Tank star Barbara Corcoran only recommends the Brenkus team in Las Vegas. And if I needed to sell a home in Southern Nevada, well, no question, I'd call the Brenkus team. Now, don't believe the myth that all agents market the same way. If you're about to sell your home before you throw your money away, listen very carefully. Now, find them online at thebrenkusteam.com. That's BRENKUS team.com.
License number BS 16186. Call for details.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
1015 FM KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Well, I did hear a bell. I can't use that Rocky line. That's some pro wrestling news and entertainment on the Mark Hoke Show. I've got Phil Stamper from the Wrestling Roller. You know, you guys should get Penzer to come do some ring announcing.
It might be an idea.
Man, that's a thought. Boy, some people would get a kick out of that.
So I'm not gonna lie, 'cause, you know, Revolver's a touring company. We have some locked in places, but we go other places, and we've had so much conversation about wanting to go down to Orlando. From a selfish perspective, I want to do it in the fall so I can go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. And hey, Penzer's in Florida. I'm just saying.
There you go. Somebody will be tapping on Sammy Callahan's door.
There you go.
Just get that.
Sammy's going to be part of Genesis tonight. So the first co-produced TNA WWE NXT pay-per-view.
Yeah, that is going to be. It's going to be a hell of a night over there. We'll dig into the card a little bit more later. But you said I wanted to ask you about this interaction you said you had with Chris Benoit. I'm curious about this, Bill.
So when everything happened, you know, that was national news when it happened. It wasn't just, you know, within the wrestling community. So everybody was talking about it. So it's the next morning. So what I mean by that is I might have the dates wrong. It was like a Sunday where everything had happened, but no one really knew what happened yet. Monday they're doing the Raw tribute show, and it's like during Raw they find out what happened, and so they end the show very silently, and then the next day it came out, you know, hey, here's everything that we sort of know. So it's now Tuesday, and I'm at work, and at my workplace we had a good association with some other members in our community, like the chief of police. So we all go to lunch together, and so we're sitting there, we're having lunch, and everyone's getting ready to leave to go back to work, but we've been talking about Chris Benoit. Now, at that time, because again, in the wrestling community, we love our rumors, we love the drama, right? And so, well, did you hear about this thing about again, this was all alleged at the time. None of this is true, but you know, the alleged, like, well, Kevin Sullivan might have been involved because he had a relationship with woman and with Nancy, and you know, all these little intricate pieces. The whole thing, I don't know if you remember this, that somebody on Wikipedia that night had edited Chris Benoit's entry to say that he had passed before there was any announcement or known that he.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And that it was from somebody in Stamford, Connecticut, who had edited it, and it ended up being like random person number 2, unassociated with WWE. So I'm sharing all of these things that I had heard and knew of, and so we're getting ready to go back to work. It's like, all right, everybody, I'll see you later. And the chief of police is like, Phil, you're not going anywhere. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you know a lot more about this murder than what anybody else seems to know. You are staying right here, and you are telling me everything you know. In fact, I think we need to take a statement. And I'm like,
what?
Man, I got this online. By this point, and you know, I never met Chris Benoit or Nancy, or you know, I didn't know them. I was like, I don't have any super secret inside knowledge. This is all the rumors on the internet, man. And he's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I should talk to you. It's like, well, if you want. It was
Wow.
so I got detained for like 5 seconds by the police to talk about the Chris Benoit murder.
Well, good work. Nice job. Oh, that's hilarious. Only you, Phil Stamper.
Right,
Only
right.
you. Oh, that is insane. Yeah, but it was interesting though when we were talking about that, and Phil, I sent you that chapter of the book so you can take a look at it. But talking about what happened with the Benoit family, it's so hard to do, and at the same time, you kind of try to think about what he did in the ring, but then afterward, obviously ruins everything. It's it and you can hear me struggling with it. It's hard to talk about the guy and what context to do it. So I can only imagine what David was going through, being so fairly close to the family.
But it is interesting, and I don't want to spoil it. So for all of you out there, you need to go read his book, because I will say the introduction to the chapter about Benoit is different than I expected. It's I don't know. I don't want to say it. I don't want to spoil anything because he didn't go there and say it. So I'm not gonna spoil it for you. But I will say this takes a spin in the beginning. 4 paragraphs that I didn't expect.
Yeah, it's incredibly interesting. So yeah, pick that book up. It is something. Just all the incredible things. I mean, I can only picture being hanging around WCW, on kind of a sideline like that. I mean, not that he was in there obviously, but to be able to kind of watch all the little pieces instead of being focused on one spot. And oh God, what a wild time that must have been. Good, bad, and ugly. So, but wait, you want to hear should I tell my Eric Bischoff story?
Oh, go for it.
Okay. So guys, I try not to seem sleepy when I'm on the air, but Eric Bischoff woke me up last night. So I tend to dream very vividly, Phil. And I had a dream, and I do dream about wrestlers because it's stuff that's on my mind. But for some reason, Eric Bischoff had me driving a rental truck, right? And we're driving it into this warehouse in an area that seemed like it was like a Central America jungle kind of thing.
Clothes on or clothes off. Okay.
The clothes were on. And he's just like, Mark, drive the truck into the warehouse. And so I'm driving the truck into the warehouse. And as we're going to the warehouse, there's like people with machine guns and loading stuff up and that they shouldn't be loading. And I'm like, what is going on here? And he's like, just keep going. I'm like, okay. And as I get to the end of where the truck stops, get out, and then all these guys holding up these huge machine guns, and Bischoff's talking to him, and then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose, and shots are being fired, and I'm diving all over the place. And there were other people that were working with us, and I was with this one woman trying to get her out of the building, and it was scary as hell, Phil. It was scary. Eric Bischoff took me into some sort of smuggling operation, and I don't appreciate that, Eric. I don't appreciate it at all. So thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
I'm sure he feels sorry for what you experienced.
He should. He should, man. I'm trying to do a show and get some sleep.
What? Why Eric Bischoff? Like,
I don't know
something about him lately.
No, not at all. I don't know. It was the most bizarre thing ever. I mean, dude, I was so sleepy this morning. I had my shirt on inside out. I thought the print came off. I was like, what? Yeah, it was pretty bad. So thanks, Eric. Thank you very much. Maybe I should tell more of these dream stories that happen. I have to start writing them down because I've had some weird ones. I had a great date with Bailey one time.
What?
Yeah, I had a date with Bailey in a dream.
Okay. Was it Irish cream?
I don't. Wow. Phil Stamper, everybody. Phil Stamper, Pro Wrestling Revolver at Trusted Phil. All right. We're gonna get into the top of the hour here, and we've got so much to talk about because it is a huge night, and it is not a WWE or an AEW night. This night belongs to TNA and GCW, and we're going to get into that. And of course, that big agreement signed between WWE and TNA that they are going to be sharing talent for a very long time, apparently. So a lot of exciting stuff happening in pro wrestling, and we're going to break that card down. The betting odds are up for TNA Genesis too, Phil. So we'll get to see what the experts think over there at betonline.ag when we come back. So stick around, everybody. We've got a whole lot more of the Mark Hoke Show. It's the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. We do appreciate all of you listening. And don't forget, get in that chat box. If you have any questions or comments, we will get to those in a little bit. So it's at the Mark Hoke Show on YouTube and Facebook, and then at Mark Hoke Show on X. Stick around, everybody. A whole lot more coming up in hour 2. We'll be right back. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time. Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. Big and loud doesn't always mean right. And the conventional mold doesn't define success. Goodbye, false quick buck promises. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way. With integrity, experience, and authenticity, we're champions for the underdog. Life happens, and when you need help, you deserve a team without hidden agendas. A team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam and Ash, 702-303-0333. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
Is politics freaking you out these days? Is the news freaking you out? It's freaking me out. You know what? I have to talk to somebody about it. And maybe it's you. Join us Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight, right here on 101.5 FM. We talk about everything from politics to religion and everything in between. Perilous World Radio. Because what we have a perilous world. Join me Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to midnight, right here on 101.5 FM, Perilous World Radio. See you then.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at tryethos.com. That's tryethos.com.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
KMXP HD3 Henderson, K268CS Las Vegas. Always live on the free Odyssey app. 1015 FM KDAWN.
This is a Fox News alert. The first hostages have been freed. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News. 3 Israeli women taken hostage during the Hamas terror attacks on Israel 15 months ago, handed over to the Red Cross today, which then conveyed them to Israeli forces. Fox's Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv.
The first phase of the ceasefire will last for 42 days. In total, 33 hostages will be released from Hamas captivity during this time. We don't know how many of them are alive and how many are dead, but this is the current agreement. They will be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners. And I want to just read you an update that we just got in from the IDF. The Red Cross has communicated that 3 Israeli hostages were transferred to them, and they are on their way toward the IDF inside the Gaza Strip. They are all alive.
And all said to be in good condition. President Biden has just spoken about the hostage release, saying the guns in Gaza have fallen silent. President-elect Trump set to hold a rally at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. this afternoon. Fox's Peter Ducey is there.
The president-elect is teasing some big news from Monday afternoon after a day of festivities moved indoors, apparently because of the extreme cold. He's going to order Tuesday immigration raids to begin deporting illegal immigrants. He's teasing an order to save TikTok at least for a few months. The Wall Street Journal is reporting he would like to visit China in person in short order. And the president-elect is telling ABC the theme of his second inaugural address is going to be unity, strength, and fairness.
More than 30 states are in for a major cold blast. An Arctic air outbreak will chill nearly every American east of the Rockies. A polar vortex that typically keeps cold air close to the North Pole is descending into the U.S., bringing brutally cold temperatures with it. America is listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
Get your daily dose of news with a Fox News Rundown. A contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Going far beyond the headlines. Tomorrow morning at 5 on 101.5 FM KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Oh, you bet your bottom dollar I'm here.
I was like, where are you going? Oh,
I was, you can say asshole here. That's okay. But, I don't know. I try to avoid that, Phil Stamper, because...
Hey, I didn't think you were going to even say that. I saw this look in your face of like, you bet your, and you, I'm like, where are you going?
I don't know where I went. I don't know where I went. So bad. Oh, I love doing radio. It's unbelievable. The Mark Hoke Show, best in pro wrestling news and entertainment here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Also on the Odyssey app worldwide. So if you don't have the app, well, it's like having your cell phone, just being naked. You've got to get that app. Terrific shows on there. So AUDACY, download that now. And of course, you can also check us out. We're streaming on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And you can get in the chat box, interact with us, all sorts of fun stuff. So,
did you hear what's not streaming?
Yeah,
anything on TikTok. It's all done.
Anything on TikTok.
And I was one of those people that before midnight I got the notice that our app is not working in your country anymore.
It was funny. I was actually Ubering last night, and somebody was sitting in the back seat just giving the whole wine story. I can't believe it's not even midnight yet. No, oh my God, just stop.
Right.
It's a fascinating story. I know we'll be talking about it on the Steve Sanchez show on Monday. I would imagine with even with the inauguration going on, because it is a huge story, and it affects a lot of people in pro wrestling. Actually, I mean, people are making good incomes using TikTok. And look, I mean, especially if you're out there on the indies and just kind of scraping to get by a little bit, but you've got a good following. Yeah, this hurts.
I mean, there's also people are like, I can't doom scroll. Yeah, you can. There's Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts. It's the same content, except less ads actually. So, less creator-based ads.
People might find out they like other things better. You never know.
Right.
Oh, crazy. Yeah, something else. So sorry, Phil. No TikTok
I'm
for
not,
you.
I don't. Are you getting the Lemonade or the Red Note app?
No.
These
are
the
you
alleged...
kidding me? Did
Right.
you hear the story of the Air Force pilot that got that the Chinese version of the app, and she was taking pictures inside of an Air Force plane? I forgot what plane it was. Yeah, not smart. Don't get the Chinese version. Don't do it.
Here's the thing, just to be fair about all of this. I certainly get the privacy concerns. I get the data concerns. Facebook and X have allegedly, sold off our data 10 times over to other countries. I mean, the Chinese government can Google us just like we can ourselves and find out what all is out there. So like, I feel like at this point, we're so far down the rabbit hole. I really don't think there was anything left. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough, but well, hopefully for all you TikTokers, then I this year I hope to probably be using it more. But
I think you just aged yourself 25 years when you said you TikTokers.
You TikTokers, yeah. Well, I was very happy on AOL. I still have AOL emails.
I was at a neighbor's house last night watching some of the football games, and like somebody's message thing beeped, and I just shouted out loud, "You got mail!"
It was one of the greatest things you could hear. And you get the screechies from the modem, and then you pop on, and then you'd hear, "You've got mail," and they had all sorts of things you could change it to, which was great. But okay, I'll stop dating myself. It is pretty bad, but God, my dating life was so much better when I had AOL. Anyway, I'm sorry,
nothing.
What?
I said, where did you take yourself to?
Chat rooms. Chat rooms, man.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Oh, anyway, I won't give away my AOL tactics. They don't work anymore. We have, of course, let's start off with this WWE TNA thing, Phil, because this is going to reverberate all the way from the top to the indies and everything else. WWE and TNA have entered into a multi-year agreement that they will be continuing to share talent like they have with this little test run they did in 2024. So they are saying that you're going to be seeing all sorts of talent bouncing back and forth between just about all the shows. Let me pull my draft here that I had, because I actually did this on my 2-count thing that I do for a couple of our stations. So they're going to be, we'll see them on NXT on Tuesday in their pay-per-views, TNA Impact, TNA pay-per-views, and WWE premium live events. Phil, this is a very interesting move. I think one thing that I saw, though, that I was curious to get your opinion about is, does TNA have a shot to become the number 2 company and pass AEW because of this?
They would have to have some major changes to their distribution model. Right now, and I can't remember who owns what when it comes to Access TV, but that was a huge way they got out, and it was because part owner was Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore is no longer with TNA, but how Anthem is all connected to that. So they were kind of like putting themselves out on the channel they own, which, hey, makes good fiscal sense. At the same time, that meant they had a smaller audience. They did try the model for a while they were streaming on Twitch, and now that's gone. So it's sort of like, and even then they were having like, they would have like 10,000 viewers watching, 20,000 viewers watching, which was cool. But even though I say all this and say, it's such a low distribution model, they were having more viewers than Major League Baseball. And who's watching, how many people are watching baseball, and then you look over here and it's like, oh no, they have a bigger model, so more people were watching them in the course of a week. So I hope they can, certainly being more involved with WWE is going to get more eyes on them. I feel like they need to be on a different channel or another channel.
Yeah.
If they have TNA Impact on Thursdays on Access TV, then they need to have TNA something forceful on another channel on another day. Unless NXT just becomes this true blend of both NXT and TNA, which also does feel weird to me because it can't be a full mix, because then you sort of then lose the substance of what's an NXT program.
Right.
And I didn't want to disagree with Mr. Penzer, but when he's like, oh, this is great, there's so much hour of television that has to get filled. I'm like, yes, but all of them have all of their rosters already. So you're still trying to fit the same amount of people on the same hours of programming. You just might be able to mix and mingle a little bit differently.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see. One thing that I'm really waiting for on this whole thing is I want a big name from WWE to show up on something for TNA. I mean, a Roman Reigns, a John Cena, or somebody like that. I mean, I can't imagine how much that would give them a boost. I know Cena kind of hinted at it this week that he thought it'd be fun to be on TNA. I think that would be fun too, on the farewell tour, to just pop up in TNA. I mean, come on, man, that would be great.
Remember, and for folks who are just listening to us and don't see us, I'm waving my hand in front of my face because of John Cena has always been at TNA. If you understand what I'm trying to say, you just didn't see him.
That was unbelievably terrible, Phil Stamper.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I tried.
Yeah,
I worked really hard at it.
That's all right.
Have you seen? I mean, Cena has the new McDonald's commercial, and the first version I saw was online, and it's really sad and depressing. And he's like, for years, no one has been able to see me. And his image goes away, and there's like a cheeseburger floating in the air that he had just been holding.
That guy is something else, I'll tell you what. But a very exciting time for WWE and TNA, and I would expect this is going to have an impact at the Royal Rumble. I'd be stunned if Jordan Grace wasn't in there again. It'd be fun to see Josh Alexander. I know AJ Francis is dying for a chance to get back in the Rumble, which I think would be pretty cool.
Well, but AJ Francis and Josh Alexander are no longer with TNA. That's
well, AJ re-signed.
Oh, he did re-sign? Okay.
Yeah, he did re-sign a couple weeks ago.
Okay. My apologies. I was not aware of that. Okay, very cool.
He did.
But that's sort of but my sort of next question to that too is, who is where? Because the Speedball Mike Bailey is rumored to be going to NXT. Rumored, but not gone, but he just had this association with TNA. So it's sort of like, where you build these linkages. Right now for the TNA heavyweight or TNA World Championship, excuse me, tonight is going to be Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, versus Joe Hendry. And it's like either, Joe Hendry has been featured on NXT, and Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler, has been on WWE television. So it's sort of like, here's a great positioning that you could have with either one of these two to have a face that people would recognize on WWE programming.
Yeah, if Nick showed up in the Royal Rumble, oh my God, the place would absolutely explode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a lot of fun too. So we'll see how that turns out. But we do have TNA Genesis tonight, and is it finally time, Phil? Are we finally going to get Joe Hendry as the world champion? A very good card tonight. I'm excited to watch this. Let me just pull that card up here real quick. So we've got Frank Kazarian against Leon Slater, Moose and Ace Austin. Moose is defending the TNA X Division Championship. That should be a terrific match.
I agree.
Tag team for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship. We got Spitfire against Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance. I don't know if I want to be called the personal concierge. But hey, whatever, man, if it's getting a paycheck.
Right, exactly.
I Quit match between Josh Alexander and Mike Santana, and that is going to be just an unreal battle right there. Jordan Grace and Tessa Blanchard should be an interesting match to watch tonight. The Hardys are taking on the Rascals. Masha Slamovich is defending against Rosemary in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I'd like to see you in one of those, Phil. Would you do a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match?
Let's go.
All right. The system will be taking on Eric Young and Steve Macklin, and then Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry. That is an outstanding card. Outstanding card. What are you looking forward to on that one?
Whew. I mean, I definitely want to see the system versus Eric Young and Steve Macklin, because that's going to be dirty in a good way. But like, so is Masha and Rosemary. That's going to be hard hitting. Josh Alexander and Mike Santana, I think, are going to surprise people in a very good way.
I think it's good. That might be the match of the night.
It really could be. And then, of course, I'm curious what's going to happen out of the Nick Nemeth Joe Hendry match.
That is going to be fascinating to see if, how this all, because, we could be seeing another JBL appearance tonight. That wouldn't shock me in the least.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was going to be, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
That was going to be what I was going to say too, that they've announced 9 matches. Now, most of these matches were set before they announced the collaboration with NXT. Nobody from NXT is here. Okay, what are we doing? Like, what is happening? And so I'm curious who all else is going to get announced involved that you didn't expect. I know that there's people who are with TNA who are not on this card that are there tonight. So I'm also like, okay, how are they getting worked in? Are they getting worked in? So I'm really sort of curious what happens next.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a kind of a little bit of a fresh start for TNA too, because we would expect that Jordan Grace is probably going to be moving on to the WWE roster here very shortly. Josh Alexander, his contract's up, so would think he's going to be heading elsewhere. Maybe he's just going to ride off into the sunset. I know he said he's not going to be doing any more indie dates, so who knows what Josh is going to do. But this is going to be a real changing of the guard here at TNA, I think.
I mean, the interesting thing about TNA is in 2020 when the pandemic happened, I really felt like TNA had the best wrestling of the 3 companies, not the best production. I don't think, and again, we talked about their distribution model. I thought they weren't out there enough, but I thought they had the best quality wrestling in their matches compared to WWE and AEW. That's no discounting anybody who's at AEW or WWE at that time, because I mean these are the top caliber athletes in the world. Just how TNA did their matches, I was like, these are great, and nobody's watching, but these are great. And then the thing they lost out on is they never had the audience option. AEW had the folks around ringside, and then WWE eventually got the Thunderdome, and TNA never latched on that model, and I felt that hurt them, because there is something about noise in a wrestling match. Like, when there's ups and downs and the crowd involvement and the noise that they make, there's something special that happens when you get that kind of energy and that sound together. And I think that's what TNA suffered from. So now, fast forwarding 4 years, and TNA's having their biggest crowds that they've had. They're outdrawing in some venues AEW. There's things like that have been so good to see them do and position themselves. Okay, now you're going to have this production assist from the WWE. Holy crap! Like, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
or at least
can't wait.
Yeah,
can't wait to see it. And just some of the interesting betting odds on this tonight, by the way. Josh Alexander is actually a slight betting favorite over Mike Santana. He's a -150 against Santana +110, which I'm a little surprised about. I would think Santana's probably going to win that match tonight, the way he's been getting pushed. So that might be an opportunity for somebody there. They got Spitfires as favorites, but not by much. -150 over the Elegance's +110. Eric Young, Macklin are -400 against the system. That doesn't surprise me. Masha Slamovich is a -5,000 against Rosemary. So I think that pretty much tells you all you need to know. Joe Hendry is the betting favorite tonight, -500 against Nick Nemeth, +300. They've got the Rascals and the Hardys just about even. Tessa Blanchard is betting favorite over Jordan Grace, and Ace Austin is the betting favorite over Moose, -250 to a +170. I want to ask you about Tessa Blanchard a little bit too. Oh, I'm sorry. You had a thought about this.
No. Go for it.
But I do want to ask you a little bit about Tessa Blanchard. I know you're hanging around Sami Callihan a lot. What is kind of the talk about her being back in the wrestling community? I just read an article today that said she's said, I'm talking to the people I feel like I need to talk to, trying to get everything straightened out and clean this up. What is the thoughts on her right now?
So, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, so I don't want to go down that path of anything I've heard. I will say the second it was like the day before she came out, there was talk that she was going to come. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. I wonder how this is going to go." And I think we saw the reaction from people within the wrestling community when it came out. There were so many people, especially at AEW, who made comments about like, "You're saying you're here for women's wrestling and standing out and all these things, and you were the last person." And I feel like, yeah, that was the last person to like be saying like, "I'm here to stand up for this, that, and the other thing." And I know she just did an interview where she's like, "People haven't heard my side of the story," and I'm a little bit well.
Do people want to hear her side of the story?
Right. Well, one, it's not going to be honest. It won't be truthful. I don't feel it's going to be in any way the real story, because of course it's going to be from her perspective and her slant, and so and I have heard from people who were involved in the situation from before, and people who weren't involved who observed it, and it was like Tessa's in the wrong, and I feel like the way she did business in the past was wrong. And I don't mean, if you want to forget the comments, because I know there's some people listening who will. Okay, forget the comments for a second. She wins the TNA World Championship, and she then doesn't want to defend it against anybody. Like she has to pick and choose how it wins and how it goes over and how it, like, okay, well now you're being spoiled. Now you're like, it felt a little bratty, honestly. Was it combined at the time with the alleged racist comments that she made that me personally I don't feel were too alleged? Yeah, so I understand both scenarios were going on at the same time, and she's trying to work through it. Okay, great. She still didn't relinquish the championship. She didn't do what's considered good business. She didn't drop the title back to anybody to let that go on.
Yeah. I at the time that happened, I remember that she was trying to up her salary with TNA and kind of use that world championship as leverage. And it just didn't seem right to me as a fan, watching that. She had time to keep developing and work her way into that. Now, I don't know what her contract was at the time, but yeah, it just seemed a little rough and not the right thing to do sitting in that situation where you got placed in a very unique spot in not just TNA, but in pro wrestling. I mean, you're a female world champion. I mean, that's incredible. Now ride that out. I mean, you could make so much money just saying you were that person. And if you wouldn't have had all the other stuff and just gone about the business, what a unique opportunity for her. So I think she did make some mistakes there, and whatever else happened in the locker rooms and so on, certainly didn't help. But I agree with you. I don't think that was quite the right way to handle things at the time. So yeah, all
right there.
there you go. But she's getting Jordan Grace tonight, and and real quick before we go to break, I just get the feeling Jordan doesn't want to be working with her. Just everything I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, that's you're talking dirt sheets and stuff like that. But
right. I will say, other than the dirt sheet stuff, I've not heard a comment about that, to be fair.
Okay, fair enough. So should be an interesting match tonight, and should be an amazing evening for TNA with Genesis. Oh, is it time? Is it time? I believe in Joe Hendry, but I really like Nick too.
Right.
So this is going to break my heart one way or another, I think. We're going to keep delving into that. Plus, we've got a huge GCW card tonight. Now, we don't get to talk about GCW too much on here, but we're going to give it a shot coming up because the Hammerstein Ballroom is going to be rocking this evening in New York. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
Las Vegas, listen up. Aaron and Jacob Taylor here. The new year brings new buyers, and demand for homes is skyrocketing. We need more homes to sell. This is your chance to cash in and make 2025 your most profitable year yet. Don't wait! We are Nevada's most trusted real estate team, and we've built 3 powerful systems to help you sell your home fast. Need cash now? We'll advance it to you, interest-free, in just 24 hours. Repairs in the way? We'll handle them all up front. Ready for an instant sale? We'll buy your house for cash in just 24 hours, as is, no repairs. Every moment you wait is an opportunity lost. Don't be the one saying, I should have called the real estate guy sooner. So dial 702-310-6683 right now. Call 702-310-6683 or visit therealestateguyLV.com today. Don't just sell, win! eXp Realty, license number 38886. Call for details.
You want to sell it fast and get the most cash. Talk to Aaron Taylor,
The real estate guy.
Sweetie, come here. Don't worry. I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing.
Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door?
Or is it more than
Dr.
in the
Clark's
area?
business is heating up.
So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them?
They need to hire a scheduler, stat.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, HIMS can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
1015 FM KDAWN.
This is the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
You do know that people on like YouTube and Facebook and X can see us, right?
Yes, I'm waving to them. I'm doing little dances and trying to get attention as we're coming out of commercial breaks.
Fair.
You know?
Fair.
Yeah. Hey, you could get into it a little, Phil. You know,
I
just a little.
dance. I dance to the.
Okay, there you go. See, get the little shimmy going. Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. And of course, we are going to be the home of WrestleMania coming up here in just about 3 months. So hold on to your hats, kids, because this is going to be a fun show to watch. No doubt about it. And listen to, I should say. And because of course, we're not only on KDAWN 101.5 FM, also streaming on the Odyssey app and live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Got a good crowd today. Certainly do appreciate that. And by the way, in that chat box, hey, guess who's here? Scoop said, Mark.
Hey,
Scoop. He didn't say hi to you, though, Phil.
I know he didn't say hi to me. What's up with that, Scoop?
I don't know. But yeah, Scoop's in there. Jesse Hyde to comment about said the WWE NXT TNA partnership is going to be must-see TV. And then he brought up, wonder if AEW New Japan Stardom partnership is going to last long if AEW continues to take New Japan Stardom talent. And that's a very interesting thing, too, when you do these talent exchanges. You know, I'm sure some people are going to be hopping from TNA to WWE at some point. But, at the same time, they're going to be able to go back and do whatever they want to do. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. But, yeah, AEW is taking the Stardom gang. And they have kind of wiped out New Japan a little, too.
Well, so I will say, remember New Japan Television was on Access TV as well, which is where TNA was, and now that's done. So they've already, I don't say lost. I feel like there's other opportunities for New Japan to be seen on television and would do well. I mean, New Japan. Let's. I want to WWE by far, by leaps and bounds, is the number one professional wrestling company in the world. They're a great entertainment company, great production house. Their video work is amazing. The number 2 company in the world is New Japan. It is not AEW. There is a huge gap between what is New Japan and what is AEW. Now, for the United States audience, it's AEW because we don't get as focused and featured and exposed to New Japan that well because, again, their distribution model was not strong in the United States. I think there's a way they could leverage it to be bigger, going on other outlets. So I feel like they, in the New Japan mindscape, they're like, well, we are a big deal, just not in one country that happens to be the United States.
Yeah, I mean, you would think they'd have to find a home, and that's one thing that could bother me about access too. I could actually get it at work here because we have DirecTV, but I have Cox Cable, so I don't get access on there for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to do something about that. Oh, some boys that are trying to move up the ladder in pro wrestling too is Game Changer Wrestling. Our friends at GCW. And of course, we've had John Wolf from one of the local podcasts here on the show, but they have a massive card for them tonight, and a really, I think it's a terrific opportunity to make a statement this evening at the Hammerstein Ballroom with their GCW, the People versus GCW event today. This card, man, Bill, this is one of the best GCW cards I've ever seen too. I mean, you start going down through this, you got a 6-man that's involving Amazing Red and Homicide and Kerry Morton, a guy who I'm really waiting to see take a step up, past the NWA and GCW. So Tanaka and Joey Janela's on there. Megan Bain's on this card. Matt Cardona's wrestling somebody. You got Little Guido, Super Crazy, and Tajiri against Gringo Loco, Jack Cartwheel, and Rez. That's going to be fun. A match I'm going to be really fascinated to see is this Bloodsport match with Josh Barnett taking on Tom Pestock, who's, of course, Baron Corbin, who is a massive judo expert. He's winning national titles all over the place. The guy's incredible. El Hijo del Vikingo is on the card against Sidney Akeem. We got a GCW Extreme title and vacant GCW Ultraviolet title DLC match. Ton of people in that one. The number one and they got the tag match between Violence is Forever and the Garbage Daddies.
You're not saying it right.
A garbage, sorry.
Yeah,
I apologize. I went radio on that. The number one contenders match between, of all people, Effie and Alley Catch. Then the winner gets Vince Warner. I mean, this is going to be an unreal night for these guys, and there's just something special about being in the Hammerstein Ballroom too. It's just such a unique place to watch professional wrestling. This is a showcase evening for them, Phil. I really believe that.
So, you said something in there too. I already think GCW is above NWA.
It is definitely.
NWA doesn't. Yeah, when we talk about just distribution models alone, NWA doesn't have that kind of feature. Plus, they're not drawing the same size crowds. Now, there's been controversy about the GCW at Hammerstein event because they closed off the top tier. Matt Cardona gave away, I think, 250 tickets himself to people that were his loyal fan base and his on his social media groups. So there were some questions of how much are they really selling this building out? The first event they had at Hammerstein did not go off as well as planned, seemingly, and they went over their pay-per-view time, so they had to trim up a whole bunch of stuff, and things didn't work as well. Now it's on Triller, so I don't think it's on pay-per-view. I might be wrong. I think it is just on Triller this time, so I don't think they have to hit that same kind of time target. The question I have is they have a pre-show with this big scramble match. And they have a lot of people that they've announced individually for the event that haven't been announced for the rest of the card. So I'm curious who else might pop up. There was teases about, when we talk about John Cena, there was teases about would John Cena show up at GCW because they've had some other WWE connections and AEW connections, previously at GCW. So I am a little curious about that. This is a lot of matches. There's 15 announced matches so far.
That's big for a GCW.
Right. And so it there's a lot that could happen. And I knowing independent wrestling, this is not a GCW specific comment, even though I just said the thing about them going over on pay-per-view. That's a lot to get through in one evening. And coming from the place that, that I know where Brett was coming from in the day, we used to sit there and like watch through these 5-hour events, and it's like, man, this is too much. And I'm like, is this going to be good as a showcase, or is it going to be too much? And kind of like deter some people from it a little bit. I don't know. I'm kind of throwing that out there randomly, because it just feels it is a lot. There are some bangers in here that I'm waiting for. I want to see Richard Holiday versus Charles Mason. There might actually be a legal unaliving. Like I want to see that. So I'm curious, where some of this will go.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to catch this. It's just a shame we're gonna have to, I hope I didn't look at the start times for. What is the start time on that, Phil? Do you know? Off the top of
It
your head?
is the pre-show starts at 6:30 Eastern, and the main card starts at 8 Eastern.
Okay, so they're going against Impact tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Brett should have moved that up, but they are. But GCW is in such a unique place too, because it used to be the home of, we're just gonna bloody everybody up and super violence, and from talking to a lot of people that are closer to GCW, that Brett is trying to maybe pull away from some of that a little bit and not, get a little more towards the sports entertainment style. And I'm wondering, when you think of GCW, do you get away from the original mission of it to try and maybe put more butts in the seats, or do you say, you know what, I've got this niche, I've got this audience, and I'm good. It's part of that. Do you go take your ambitions and push it further, or do you stay in the lane that you're in, where you are very successful?
Well, that's just it. I think they've seen where that niche has maxed them out too. And GCW did a really good thing from a marketing perspective. They started with venues that could only fit 100 people, and then put a wrestling ring inside of it and said it was standing room only and sold out. And made it. They didn't focus on there was only 100 people. They focused on we're sold out. Look at us in these tight shots and how it looks like it's just massively packed in there with really only 100 people. So it was this really smart, brilliant way of putting on events and making people yearning for more when you have to turn people away. But I think they've grown, and I think just like other companies that have rested their laurels on deathmatch wrestling, they have to expand a little bit. I think of the early days of a CZW when it was really good. It is not good now. That they might anchor it like the main event would be this deathmatch, but the rest of the card was amazing, and you had talent from all over the world, and really super technical stuff, and like it was these amazing events. And so, like, okay, you have to show a little bit of variety in what you're doing. And as brutal as I think this steel cage match is going to be, it's not a death match. So I don't think there's anything. I'm quickly looking through. There's nothing in here that's been. Well, the Extreme title and vacant GCW Ultraviolent title DLC match will probably go and showcase that level of ultraviolence, right? But I don't think the rest of the card is built that way, where they're going to be diving into the deathmatch territory that deep.
Yeah. So the trick is, you don't want to lose the audience that you built, and you're trying to step up, but then you're also trying to step up into a place that is, occupied. I mean, it's TNA and MLW and AEW and WWE. So Brett's got some interesting decisions to make, I think, as they move forward, because I mean they've put together a product that I think a lot of people are excited to watch, and have done a fantastic job. It's just a matter of, how do you balance all that out? Because look, it's funny, you hear everybody talking about ECW and how great ECW was, but that ran its course. If ECW was such a great promotion, I'll probably make some people mad saying this, why aren't they still around? Because they were in this spot of, we're going to do the craziest, nutsiest, most violent thing we can think of. Well, at some point there's a line that you're at at the end of it, and there's nowhere else to go.
And that's a great point. Now, I will say, conversely, in the 2010s, when WWE would put out ECW DVD packages, those DVDs were outselling WWE DVD sets.
Yeah, because you had a very loyal fan base.
Right. But even then, they were exposing it to this bigger, larger audience too. So, and again, it's about distribution and awareness. And at that time, ECW was trying to work with a model where they had people under contract and couldn't afford the contract. Like it was, and then was even getting paydays from the WWE to do some of the stuff that they were doing. And so, this isn't the same set. Most of these people are on independence. They're not getting these kinds of big contracts that like an ECW had. Getting that money that ECW folks had. So it's also a different financial model. It's still going to be difficult to make this all work, especially when you consider almost a third of your tickets were comp in Hammerstein. And so I'm curious, I want to see how this goes. But I'm also challenged by how it, I think, is structured. This is a lot to say you're going to have on an event with even some other people who aren't announced for matches that have been said are there. Plus, then, do you have surprises that you're also trying to work in? I mean, right now I'm timing this out that this is going to go till like midnight-ish at least.
And it's bad weather out there too. It's going to be a miserable day up in New York.
So I do hope everybody who's everybody travels safely too. I hope everyone who's going to go there is already there, because it's going to get nasty. I think I have to look at my on the East Coast. There's this kid, literally a kid. He started in high school doing meteorology and was more accurate than anybody else in the region. And now he's gone through college, and his name is JB Weather. So he does this amazing, great weather report. So I'm gonna source him for a second. But I think he is saying that up in the New York area, they're going to get tonight, 6 to 8 inches. And in a metropolitan area, yes, of course they'll take care of it. But when it happens all at once, they're not going to take care of it all at once. They can't.
Right.
So, it's going to be a rough night for the weather. So.
Yeah. And before we go to break, just real quick, we're talking about the violence model of some companies. And I think that has hurt AEW as well, that it may have driven some people off. And then we had this match with Powerhouse Hobbs on Wednesday night on Dynamite against John Moxley, where Hobbs bit his ear, and some people were saying it was accidental. I don't think that was accidental. I really don't. I think Hobbs was told, I want you to bite my ear until it starts bleeding, because ears bleed very heavily. And here we are again with John Moxley with a massive trail of blood going down his chest and shoulder. And, you're struggling with attendance a little bit. And there you go. You may be doing stuff for the sickos, but you're trying to reach a general audience. And man, I just don't think you can do that on your regular broadcasts.
I think it has a time and place. My personal joy in wrestling is not necessarily deathmatch wrestling. Do I see the value of it and art of it and how you can build to it and how you can use it appropriately? Absolutely. But you're right. I'm not going to say never, but I just feel like the way you build an event, do you need to bleed that much all the time? That's also a potential health risk to yourself. And so that makes me question some things. And again, we've sat here before and we've gone down the path of AEW. I don't think singularly alone the showcase of violence is what people are a little concerned about with AEW. I think there's a whole lot of stuff that AEW needs to right the ship on. I think this is just one of the things. But you're right. There's some companies that okay, here's what we're showcasing. This is it. And I have been and worked on some of those deathmatch tournaments where it's there's 40 people here. Because does it have a genre? Does it fit an audience? Yes. Those 40 people.
Right.
And I know there's a bigger audience in the world. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying at that particular location. So I want to see it expand. I want to see all wrestling grow and do better. But you also have to realize you can't, rest on one spot, which again, GCW is not doing. Right? I think they've spread out enough a little bit to intermingle different kinds of styles in this. It's a larger produced indie wrestling event with some names on it. You're going to get a variety show on this event, but it's a lot. It's 13 matches with a lot of people and multiple person matches. So it's gonna be a lot, and I'm worried that it's gonna be messy.
You'll see how it all turns out tonight. So, but just wanted to throw that Hobbs comment out there too, because that just blew me away. I mean, they've been feuding for a week.
Right.
That's not long enough to get a massive blood flow in a match, but what do I know? I'm just a humble old radio host. Stick around, everybody. We got more on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Some fun stuff in NXT. We got a Saturday night's main event coming up. Corey Graves is flipping out. We'll try and get to much as we can for you. And the best of pro wrestling news and entertainment on the Mark Hoke Show. Phil Stamper at Trust and Phil. I'm Mark Hoke. We'll be right back.
Selling your house is always stressful,
especially in this economy. You need a real estate agent you can trust to make the process as stress-free as possible.
and one that can get you the most money for your home.
Talk to the Brinkus team of Keller Williams Realty, The Marketplace. They've sold over 9,000 homes in the Las Vegas area.
And have helped thousands of families reach their real estate goals.
The Brinkus team's marketing is so thorough that when they list homes, they sell for top dollar. They'll customize their strategy just for your specific needs,
including selling and buying a home simultaneously.
Yeah, I just went through that process a few years ago. It is not fun. You need somebody who knows what they're doing. And they do the heavy lifting so you can rest easy. Real estate mogul and Shark Tank star Barbara Corcoran only works with the best agents in the whole country.
And guess who's the only team she trusts in all of Southern Nevada? That's right, the Brinkus team.
So just Google thebrinkusteam.com today and check out their hundreds of 5-star reviews. That's thebrinkusteam.com.
And start packing.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay, things people love.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
We've all got a thing. Yeah, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay, things people love.
101.5 FM KDAWN.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's do this one more time. The best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on The Mark Hoke Show. So we wrap up hour number 2. Well, the show. That's kind of how this works. But we're having a great time here. Phil Stamper from the Wrestling Revolver. You can follow him, the president of wrestling, at Trust in Phil on X. That's him. He is
Right
the
here.
president. It's scary that you're the president, but
How is
that's
it
okay.
scary?
I've seen your work, Phil. It's scary.
I mean, there are times. Yeah.
Yeah, you're an obnoxious little elf.
Watch it, sir.
Watch it. What are you gonna do?
I mean, just because I'm on the other side of the country doesn't mean I don't have pull in Vegas.
Yeah, that's true. You'll get somebody to beat me up. That's fine. You are the
Oh
president.
no, I wouldn't beat you up. I just take your show.
Huh. Yeah, okay. We'll see how that goes.
I'm just saying, you're the one who reaches out to me to come on the show.
I know. I heart you, Phil. It's okay.
Oh, now you heart me.
I heart you.
The little troll that I am. Okay, great.
Yeah. You know.
Or did you say elf? I want to make
some,
sure.
Some people like bad people too. It's okay.
Sir.
I am putting you over. What are you doing, man? Unbelievable.
I'm loved by everyone, sir.
You are loved by nobody in the pro wrestling world. I'm sure your family loves you. At least they act
That's
like
speculative at best.
Once again, trying to help, and it's just not going anywhere. Anyway, we have real quick. We had a couple title changes in NXT at the New Year's Evil card. We really didn't talk about it, but Julia and Obafemi are now your champions in NXT. And of course, we all know Julia is a superstar, and it's not going to be long before she's going to be up on the main roster. But Obafemi, I have seen this man live, and he is unreal.
Mm-hmm.
And the future is so bright for that dude. I'm surprised they didn't try to move him up, but I guess we want to get a good title run for him and give him that feel. But man, two great new champions in NXT, and of course, Roxanne Perez has now moved on to try to beat up Bayley, and I'm cool with that. So, what did you think of those, by the way, Phil? Real quick.
I mean, seeing it both happen was cool. At the same time, now I'm waiting. What then is next? That's always my next question. Is then what is going to come next for them? And because now this first pay-per-view TNA with Genesis, could they make an appearance?
Oh,
just even if it's just like Masha Slamovich did the other week on NXT, just as there in the crowd enjoying the event. Could we see that? And I think that's a strong possibility. I feel.
Now, if Obafemi shows up, they're going to need 2 chairs. Guy's just a monster, and he's one of the. I mean, for as young as he is in the business, just amazing that he actually uses his size properly, and I love his facial expressions too. If next time you get to see him wrestle, I mean, that guy knows how to tell a story in the ring. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. Saturday night's main event's coming up, Phil. Man, I'll tell you what, we're going to have an interesting little showdown on Saturday night's main event. We got Gunther against Jey Uso. We got Braun Breaker and Sheamus, and Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. Woohoo! Sign me up. I'm in. I'm ready for Saturday night's main event for that card. Holy buckets.
Yeah. Is
anything of significance happened on this one, though?
My brain was just going, I can't remember. Is this one also on Netflix, or is this on
It's NBC.
It is NBC? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a great distribution model. Let's look at the WWE. They're everywhere, but it's also now I'm losing a little bit of track of what is on where. I mean, I have high expectations. I think WWE is trying to hit it out of the park. I think there was also a little bit of a cautionary tale, because if you look at an AEW that always tried to do that too, and then it felt like a little bit of burnout when this is your dream match of the week all the time. Oh man, I think WWE will handle that better. So I'm looking forward to Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, it's a good showdown for Jacob Fatu. It's one that while Braun is not in the main event picture or anything like that, you just pull that match out of the air and like, oh wow, Jacob Fatu against Braun. Oh, that's going to be fun. And that's one of the neat things about WWE, and AEW's roster can do that too. You can just find an interesting match to throw together, but it should be a great showdown or a showcase for Jacob Fatu. I think that's the one I'm looking forward to the most on the card.
That's a good one to look forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And real quick, this Corey Graves stuff. Of course, he's off the Raw team and SmackDown team, and they wanted to send him down to NXT, and he voiced his displeasure on Twitter, and people aren't sure if this is a shoot or a work. And some are saying, kind of a mix. But I am a little surprised Corey Graves is off the main 2 shows desk. I really am.
I am too. So my brain kept going, this is a work. But that big part of my brain that was like, this is all a big work, because I believe nothing in wrestling anymore. Was like, then they would have done something with it by now. They wouldn't have let it linger for a couple of weeks. So I'm unless something happens somewhere that I'm he appears at Genesis tonight. He appears on Saturday Night Main Event. Like, you thought you were done with me? Well, this is what I'm gonna do. It could still happen, but now I'm a little bit more like, ooh, is he mean? Not mean. That's not what I mean. Is he in that attitude because he feels like he has been genuinely done wrong?
Yeah, I'm curious, but just wondering if there's a Corey Graves Wade Barrett match possibly looming in the future too. The comeback could happen. It would be fun. Well, hey guys, that's going to do it for us here on the Mark Hoke Show. I want to thank Phil Stamper, of course. So once again, at Trust and Phil and at PW Revolver. Follow the Wrestling Revolver. Unbelievable shows those guys put on too all over the country. So please make sure you check them out as well. Phil, thanks for doing a great show with me today, bro.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. By the way, don't forget to give my good friends at Off Grid Creations a call, 661-300-1115. Cool shirts, cool signs, anything you need, they've got it. So say hi to them, please. They help support the show, support them. Guys, we'll see you next week on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas. Have a great day, everybody. Want more of the Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show. Like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join the Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
Personal injury law has been the same